What's up, Giants fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I want to talk about the new signing of Giants quarterback Russell Wilson on a 1-year, $10.5 million deal worth up to $21 million in incentives. He's a 10-time Pro Bowler, won Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2020. He's a former Super Bowl champion. He's got a lot of accolades. Giants met with him last offseason, decided to stick with Daniel Jones for one more year, and now Russ is here just a few days after the signing of Jameis Winston. And a little fun fact about him, he is the only active quarterback to win a playoff game at MetLife Stadium, and that was the Super Bowl he won. So, yeah, definitely an interesting stat. And this is the guy, look, he's a short-term bridge, in my opinion, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, but unfortunately, his career, the back half of his career, or back third, I should say, of his career will be defined as a journeyman. He's 36 years old, small quarterback at 5'11", 206. That was a concern coming out of college from Wisconsin, but he's defied those odds in the NFL, so I'm not concerned about that. Last year with Pittsburgh, 2024, Justin Fields started the year. Russ was hurt. Russ was 6-1 in his first 7 starts, and then he was 0-5 after that in his last 5 starts, including the playoff game. 16 touchdowns to 5 picks, over 2,400 yards. One thing about Russ, he was responsible for over 22% of pressures on dropbacks last year. That was third highest in the NFL. But if you want a part of Russ's game that is still on point, it's his deep ball. Let's look at his deep passing stats over the last 3 years, right? So we know he was with Seattle for a long time, 9-10 years. 22 and 23 were with Denver. 24 was with Pittsburgh. Let's start with last year. His attempt rate on the deep throw was 13.7% out of all his passes. That's 8th in the NFL. Completion rate, 54% on the deep ball. That is number 1 in the NFL as of last season. Passer rating is second at 122.1. Let's go to 2023. Attempt rate, 13.4%, 4th most in the NFL. Completion rate, 38.3%, 15th in the NFL. His passer rating was 112.5, 7th in the NFL. And then you look at 2022, his attempt rate on the deep ball was number 1. 16% of his passes were deep ball attempts. Completion rate was 7th at 39.7%. And his passer rating was also 7th at 101.2. Also, another stat that's worth noting, he is the 8th most completions of 20-plus air yards as of last season in 11 games. He only played 11 games last year, had the 8th most completions in the NFL of 20-plus air yards. He also led the league in adjusted completion percentage and big-time throw rate. He's number 1 in CPOE, number 2 in EPA and dropback, and number 2 in QBR. Those are the last 3 years of Russell Wilson. It wasn't a good fit in Denver. Coaching scheme wasn't for him. 2022 was an awful year for Russ. 2023 was a little bit better, where he threw 26 touchdowns and 8 picks. Last year, he fit in perfectly with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to be honest with you, I think he wanted to go back to Pittsburgh. I think it was Pittsburgh, more wanting Aaron Rodgers and not knowing what they wanted to do in quarterback. And the national media perspective of Pittsburgh is, well, they're trapped in mediocrity. They make the playoffs, but they can't do anything once they get in there. So Russ looking for a fresh start with Big Blue, and he will be QB1 in 2025, at least to start the season. We don't know what will happen. Obviously, we know the Giants have Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito on the roster. We don't know if they'll draft the rookie in the draft, whether it be round 1, round 2, or 3 specifically. But I think this is a guy who's had a very successful career. He's a winner. He's won a lot of football games. And I think for Brian Daboll, this is a better signing than Aaron Rodgers because, let's be real, guys, Shane and Daboll are on the hot seat. Mara wants wins, and he wants them now. Russ is a winner. He gives you the best chance of keeping your job into 2026 and beyond. So I think this was a good signing by Coach Daboll and Joe Shane. Looking at his career in Seattle, 40 touchdown passes in 2020. That was a career high for him. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards 4 times in his career. Spent 2012 through 2021 with the Seattle Seahawks. And then with Denver, I really don't want to throw the blame on Russ too much. 2 different head coaches. He was sacked 55 times in 22. Career-wise, 199 starts. So his 200th start may potentially be week 1 with the Giants, a 121, 77-1 record. Also finished above 500 as a starter in 11 of his first 13 NFL seasons. 350 career touchdowns, just 111 picks, over 46,000 passing yards. Second team All-Pro back in 2019. I could go on about these accolades. He led the NFL in passer rating in 2015. We know he's that good, but what defines Russ as a quarterback? Well, not only is he accurate on the deep ball, he takes care of the football. Started every game. His health is great. Started every game from 2012 through 2020. He never missed any starts due to injury. Does that remind you of somebody? Eli Manning. So yeah, he's been relatively healthy throughout his career. He's consistent with the deep ball. He doesn't turn the ball over that much, which has been an issue with Giants quarterbacks over the last 5-6 seasons. And let's be real, right? Giants have been linked to Shedeur Sanders. If the Browns do not plan to take him at number 2, I think another team is destined to trade up and draft him. And the previous 2 QB signings for the Giants scream that the Giants are not going to draft a quarterback at number 3, that they're going to wait on a guy like a Tyler Shook, a Jackson Dart, maybe even somebody later on. When your job is on the line, you don't want to force the hand of the quarterback pick at number 3. I think the Giants like Cam Ward a lot more. He won't be there. He'll be off the board to Tennessee. Shedeur Sanders, I don't think is worthy of the number 3 pick in this draft, but if the Giants want him, go get him. If they don't want him, don't get him. And I'm with the latter right now. I personally think Russell Wilson should start in 2025. You can get a developmental quarterback like a Dart or a Shook. See if they can sit behind Russ and learn. You have Winston as well. And yeah, overall, that's my thoughts on the signing. I think Russ is a leader. I think he'll start week 1. And I'm more optimistic about this than Jameis Winston. Look, Russ is declining. He's not what he once was. He can't run as well anymore. Just be a good pocket passer, flush the pocket. He's really good on play action. So, yeah, let's see what Russ can bring, right? And he did his homework on his teammates. He knows a lot about Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. And if you look, the last few free agent signings have hinted at this signing, right? Little Jordan Humphrey, former Denver Bronco, crossover with Russell Wilson. So, there is some interesting nuggets to take away from that. You could argue, hey, James Hudson played for the Cleveland Browns with Jameis Winston. So there's a thing too there, right? There's a couple connections. They're trying to bring in guys they're familiar with. Greg Dulcich, late last season. Former Denver Bronco, played with Russ in Seattle. Chris Manhertz, they re-signed him to a 1-year deal. Former Bronco, played with Russ in Denver. So there's connections. And it stinks that I couldn't figure it out until they officially signed Russ, but now I'm starting to see why they did, because they signed guys that he's familiar with. Next up, Giants bring back linebacker Dyontae Johnson. He was an exclusive rights free agent. Injured nearly all of last year, only played in the 2 final games after spending 16 weeks on IR. He was a 2023 UDFA out of Toledo. Still just 24 years old, though. He looked really good in the preseason game against Detroit last year. 4 tackles, 2 for loss, and 1 sack. Had 11 tackles in just 2 games last season. I look at the Giants linebacker room now. You got Bobby O and Micah McFadden as the bona fide starters. And then backups, you got Darius Muasau, you got Chris Ford, who's a special teams ace. If they keep 5 inside linebackers, who's going to be that 5th? Will it be Dyontae Johnson? Will it be Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who they just signed? Will it be a rookie that they draft? I don't know. But it sounds like they're not bringing Carter Coughlin nor Matthew Adams back. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. If you like what you watch, folks, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Check us out at Big Blue Avenue on all of our social media platforms. And without further ado, let's go big.